Well, welcome everybody. My name is Jeanette Tan. I'm the chief of QB Winery Solutions. We work exclusively with small boutique wineries to help them improve their profitability and understand where they're going. Today, we're going to be talking about how to track grapes, the grape bills, and weight tags because harvest has just started. Now, normally at this time, I would revisit our fundamental 5. This is our system of how we set up QuickBooks so that we can get good reports, specifically so that you can know your true profit, understand your sales focus, and track your cash flow. But today, we are not going to talk about the fundamental 5 at all. Tracking the grapes, or what I'm going to talk about today, has nothing to do with improving your profitability. This is strictly tips on how to be more efficient and effective tracking the grapes. And honestly, I'm a little bit self-serving. This is when at the end of the year, when I do the costing for clients, this is my biggest bugaboo. I spend more time chasing down these grapes. And so this saves my time. And if it saves my time, that means it's also going to save your time. So obviously we have wineries with lots of different sizes that we work with. We work with some folks who may only get 1 or 2 loads of grapes, up to other folks who are getting 50 batches of grapes. So first I'm going to talk about the bare minimum information that you want to track. So this would be, for the teeny tiny wineries. So we'll talk about how to track the weight tags, how to handle the assessments, and how to pay growers with terms, multiple payments. This last one makes a giant mess. And so I'm going to show you a nice, easy way of how to track this. And then I'll branch out and show you some other tips. So these are procedures that I use with my larger wineries, meaning my smaller wineries. I don't work with anyone who makes more than 15,000 cases. So these are tips that you might want to incorporate to make things easier. And it'll also show you what QuickBooks is capable of doing. So let's get started. Let me pull.
And before you get started, I just want to encourage all of you to raise your hand or pop a question in the chat. This definitely is meant to be more interactive. She's going to cover a lot of details. So if a question kind of pops up as she's going through things, feel free to raise your hand or pop it in the chat. We'll be happy to address that as well.
Good point. Thanks, Steph. Oh, and I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce Steph. So this is Steph. She's my assistant. She's also Silver Club manager. So she's the go-to person if you have questions about our Silver Club or anything. All right. So let me pull QuickBooks over. All right. So here's my QuickBooks. So I'm going to be primarily working in QuickBooks Desktop because all of these procedures work in online and QuickBooks for Mac. At the end, I'll show you specifically some of the nuances. It's the reporting that's the biggest difference between all of them. So first of all, we want to set up our growers as we want to give them a type. I normally don't use vendor types, but for growers I do because it'll save you in this one area. So here's a grower. If we go in on their vendor center and I come down to additional info, oh look, my Awesome Vineyards isn't designated. Well, there we go. We're going to tag them as a grower. And where this will help you is in pulling up some reports. So let's say I go and I'm going to pull the accounts payable aging report. So, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but so I've got an AP aging report here and I've got growers mixed in with, I'm going to go to 2017. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 1, and 7. I've got growers mixed in with other vendors and, the most of this money is growers. So if I go customize and then filter, and here I'm going to filter for vendor type. And then I pick grower. I'm now going to see my accounts payable for just my growers. And this is super helpful. You could set up a separate accounts payable just for growers. But again, that's an advanced step and you've got to know what you're doing. Otherwise you make a big mess. But this is the next best way to get a report of just your growers and the AP to them. A lot of your banks want to see this information separate from your total accounts payable. So that would be your first step, is to set up all your vendors and identify them as a grower type. All right, so next step is to create a weight tracking log. So most of, well, as we know, grapes come in, they're going to go to the scale, they're going to get weighed. When the grapes get weighed, this is the point that differentiates the vineyard operation from the winemaking operation. And so there's a weight tag for every lot of grapes that comes in, and these weight tags typically don't have numbers on them. So I create a log. It's just an Excel document. And as you can see, my numbering system, this is my log ready to roll here for the 2021 vintage. And I will put in the top right-hand corner of all my weight tags, I will put my weight tag number. And this way I can keep track of them really easily. These weight tags will, weight tags get lost, weight tags get changed, and it's really hard. This just makes it a whole lot easier to know which one you're referencing. I also make, I also put my number on my copy in a red pen, and that way I know which version is mine. And I'm very anal about my copy of the weight tag. And if I have to take my copy out to the cellar to compare it with theirs, that's what I'll do. But I don't let anyone touch my weight tags. They're the ones with the red pen and the red number on it. Some of the notes you might want to track are something like, you know, oh, shoot, what happened to my numbers? Hang on a second here. Numbers got kitty wampus. Let's just fix that. I'm going to go series, and I'm going to go 0.01. Okay. There we go. Okay, that fixed my numbers. All right. Some of the notes you might want to put are, you know, weighed for the neighbor. So this is not in my sequence, or I messed this one up and I threw it away. Things like that. Or, you know, maybe some grapes came in and you're splitting those grapes with a neighbor. You know, again, put those kinds of notes here on your weight tag log. So then the next thing that I do is I will record the actual weight tag. I don't wait for the bill to come in from the grower. Now, a lot of you are recording your grapes on an Excel worksheet. And herein lies the problem, that trying to keep that Excel worksheet tuned up with QuickBooks it's impossible. There's always mistakes. I spend a lot of time trying to tune them up, and it's just a waste of time. So just go ahead and use your Excel worksheet to record things like the bricks and the dates and various things like that, but don't record accounting information in Excel. Yes, I do love Excel, but I use Excel to help massage the information. I don't use Excel to record as my source document. Your source document is your weight tag. So what we're going to do when we record a weight tag is I'm going to, oh, sorry, forgot a step. Nope, actually, we're just going to keep rolling here. I'm going to enter a bill, and I'm going to, let's see, save and new. And I'm going to put my, whoops, that's not it. It's an awesome bird. It's my awesome vineyard. And I'm going to go today, bought some grapes, and let's say this is my first lot of grapes that came in. So it's 21.01. And then I'm going to go grapes. And of course, this is down here in the direct winemaking section. This is going to be grapes. And then in my memo, in my memo, I'm going to put the number of tons that I bought. So 3.47 tons Cabernet. And then I can also put, the cost per ton that we agreed to. So let's call it 3,000. So now in here, I can write in QuickBooks, I can do the math. I can go 3.47 times 3,000. And there we go. So the bare minimum is in your memo, you want to have the number of tons, what the varietal is, and the cost per ton. And that way you can always double check your math. And then you've got, now you've got the grand total amount. You can indicate when this bill is due. This bill might not be due until, March of next year. Awesome Vineyards might give you really good terms. So you can go, if this is due March 1st, 22, you can put a bill due date way out in the future. That's totally fine. So that is the bare minimum. Now I'm going to, I actually jumped ahead of myself here. All right. So that's what I've done here in 2015. These are the bills that I have entered for 2015. And as you can see, I've got all my growers. I can see at a glance the number of tons, what the varietal is. And for this one here, which I'm skipping ahead, didn't mean to skip ahead. I've got, instead of having a grand total, amount that I owe, I've got a separate row for each of the grapes that I purchased. All right, so now to record your assessments. So your assessments are what you're going to pay to the USDA, and possibly if you're in Sonoma County, you've got Sonoma County assessments. You might have other regional assessments as well. Right. So to record your assessments, each one of you will have a different arrangement or agreement with your growers. And that is as to who's going to pay the assessments. Are you going to pay it, and deduct it from their bill, or are you going to pay it and not deduct it from their bill? It all depends on who's reporting those grapes, who's doing the grape crush report. So when you do the grape crush report in the spring, that's when you pay the assessments. So in this situation, they have an agreement with the grower that the winery, I'm going to pay the assessments. So I've now booked the grapes. Now I have an account. I've created an account. This is an other current liability account called expenses payable. And I'm going to deduct the value of the assessment that's due for these grapes. So the Pierce disease is 0.075%. So it's 0.0075. So, do your math and do the deduct. This now shows you the grand total amount that's due to the vineyard. Now, you could, like I said, I use an other current liability account to record the assessment. And then when I pay the assessment, so let me jump ahead and show you that. So I'm here, expenses payable. So here's my expenses payable register. So here are the assessments that I have there, 15, yeah. So this is the bill we were just looking at right here. And then when I paid my assessment in January, I cleared out 5146 because that was the amount that I had deducted. So for 2015, my grand total assessments that I had collected or withheld from my growers was 5146, but I actually owed 7242. So the balance, I'm just going to book that to a miscellaneous expense. Now, technically, this should be a crush expense, but it's a small amount. I'm not going to quibble about it. So this is totally fine. This is an other miscellaneous winemaking expense. So this is fine. It's not ideal. What is best is, let's scooch forward here to 2016. What I did in 2016 is I actually booked a bill dated December 31st. Again, I hit my expenses payable account for the amount that I had accumulated, 6923, and then my expenses crush other. So this is the correct account to hit. At this point, we get into the distinction between the cash and accrual accounting, and we use accrual accounting in our QuickBooks file because the dates matter on accrual accounting. This bill was incurred in 2016, so we want to enter the bill in 2016, but we're not going to pay the bill until January. So, this is where the dates matter. So we've got 2016, that's the expenses payable. Now we've got the expense properly showing up in the crush. This is the better way to do it. Although doing this check here in 2016 was okay because the dollar difference was not significant. So that is, now the alternative, if using this liability account is too confusing, I'm totally fine with you using the crush other expense. So let's go back to this bill here. I'm totally fine with you using the crush other for your assessments. Just make sure that you record the bill to pay these in 2015, or you're going to start getting crisscrossed. The bookings of your expenses are going to crisscross different years. So crush other. So this is an alternative way of recording the assessments. And again, the distinction here, the key thing is whatever account you use to record the assessments, you want to use that exact same account to record the payment to the for the assessments. A lot of times I see people, maybe recording this correctly. I also see people recording, putting grapes here, having this as a deduct from your grapes. That's not correct. Your true value of your grapes is this, and you're just deducting an assessment portion. All right, so I'm going to revert that back. So I hope that makes sense. Again, for the assessments, whatever account you use here is the same account that you're going to use when you actually write the check or enter the bill. Because I prefer if you could enter a bill dated, the year of harvest, because that keeps all your expenses in the same year, which is really what I'm trying to drive at for the assessments. Okay, so that's assessment. So again, for assessments, you're going to pick either a liability account called expenses payable, or you're going to pick a crush other account. Now, the third key thing that I see people making a big mess on, and that is payments to growers when you have multiple payments. So let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of this. All right, so who was my example? I think these guys here are my example. So let's go to this bill. All right, so these guys here, BH Vineyard, I've got you bought $14,000 worth of grapes from them, and they have agreed to be paid to let you pay them in 2 payments. So what you're going to do is you're going to record the grand total value of your weight tag on the bill. And then we're going to create an account called the Grape Clearing Account. This is a bank account. Now, as you can see, I'm really fond of clearing accounts. And because it's a clearing account, this clearing account always needs to have a $0 value. A little bit later, when I show you some of the tips, I'll explain why I use a bank account for this clearing account. But what you're going to do here is you're going to record the full value of the grapes. Then you're going to pick your grape clearing account, and you're going to, so in this case, I'm going to, the second part of the bill that I'm going to pay in March is going to be $7,000. So now here's my payment. And then I'm going to put a note that this is my A bill. And if I go to the vendor center, and I go to look at BH Vineyards, you can see here's my 2015 grapes. So there's my 2015, right? Then my second bill that I'm going to enter, what you can see is that the second half of the bill, I'm going to call it a B because these are connected. It's got the exact same date, but this bill, it's got my November 1st date. It's got my B tag on it. Now this one has my due date in 2016, and I'm using my Grape clearing, but this time it's a positive. And this is my final payment. Now, to confirm that you haven't messed things up, because these things get messed up really easily, I'm going to go to my Grape clearing account, and you can see here on my Grape clearing account, 2015, here we go. So here's my bill. So here, this is the $7,000 that I deducted from the original bill. If you can see that, yeah. So you can see that this is my A bill. And then right below it, I've got my B bill where I'm charging the $7,000. So I've got my clearing account back to zero. So this is your reminder to use the exact same date. Sorry about that. To use the exact same date on your bill so that these show up right next to each other and you get your clearing account back to zero. So your clearing account is an in and out type of account. So again, just to repeat on the bills here, go back to edit here. When you have two payments due for your bill, and one of them is in the future, you're going to record the entire Grape, use the Grape clearing, and then create a second bill. Now, this is one way to do it. There's another way to do it, which let me see if I can find my example again. So let's see if I did it with these guys here. All right, reports. Nope, not that one. Okay, didn't do it with these guys. Okay, let's go to 2016 and see if I did it with 2000. Well, okay. You know what? I'm just going to create a bill. And I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's. Ooh, I know. Save and new, and I'm going to go back. All right. So here's the bill that we entered for Awesome Vineyards for our 2021. The alternative way of recording the second bill is to just make a partial payment. So these guys, you know, the grapes came in today and they want to be paid. They want to be paid, you know, next month or today for half of these grapes. So then you're going to go vendor, you're going to go pay bills. And here's Awesome Vineyards. Here is my show all bills. Awesome. Where are we? This one right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pay $5,000. And I'm going to pay that today. And give that a number. So now when I look at this bill, if I go reports, I go transaction history, I can see I've got a partial payment going on it. And now this balance is going to show up on my accounts receivable, on my accounts payable report. So you could do the two payments simply by doing a partial payment on a bill.
Jeanette?
Yeah.
We had a question come through the chat. And I just wanted to clarify. It's from Joanne. It says, I started paying monthly at the time of the contract and have them paid off by November. Do you see a problem with that?
No, that is totally fine. You can do it two ways. You can either make a partial payment against all the against the one bill, or you can enter, a bill for every month. It all depends on what's easiest for you to track your cash flow. Because as we know, these Grape payments are large and significant. And some people like to have the payments split up into two separate bills so that they can more easily track their cash flow and kind of keep an eye on when the payments are due. So Joanne, that's totally fine to have multiple payments. And again, you can make a partial payment off the one bill, or you can make separate bills for each of the individual payments. Just make sure that you use the exact same date for the date of the bill, and then you're going to have, your bill due date will have, you'll have a partial payment for each. You'll have, let's say you've got 4 payments, you'll have 4 different months on the bill due date. So I hope that helps. Okay, so the key thing is that you're not going to split this up into four different numbers. You're not going to say $10,000 divided by 4. That's what you're not going to do, because that makes a mess and takes extra time to untangle it. So once you have all your bills entered, you're going to be able to have a nice report that shows all the grapes that you purchased in the year that of harvest. And the due date on the bill is what's going to drive how when the payment is due and how it shows up on your accounts payable report. Okay, so that's the bare minimum for recording the bills. And that again is to, you want a row for every single varietal. You want to list the number of tons and the cost per ton, on each row. If you have assessments, you're going to just deduct the assessments from as a separate number to a different account. You're not going to reduce the value of the grapes. That's not what's happening. Is the assessments are a different expense than the cost of the grapes. And then the third is if you're going to make split payments, you can create a second bill, or you can just simply make a partial payment off of this bill, and then change your due date after you make that first payment. Right. So any questions on the basics before I get into some of the more fun things that you can do? Okay. All right. Well, let's go to, I'm going to go back to my P&L. Where's my P&L? There it is. All right. So here's my P&L.
Jeanette.
Yeah.
We do have a couple of questions that just popped in. One from Roberta. In QBO, there is no vendor type. What workaround do you have?
Okay. My workaround is to complain about QBO and and leave it at that. There's weaknesses in QBO and Mac, which is why I'm not fond of those programs. And generally speaking, yeah. Well, then in QBO, what you're going to have to do is have to create a second AP account and record your bills to an AP grower account. And that way you can identify the growers on your accounts payable report.
And I had another question come in from Rita. Do we reference the weight tag on the bill? Okay. I think she popped in a little late, so she wasn't sure about that.
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna show that next because for the teeny tiny wineries that maybe only get 2 or 3 weight tags, the bill, the weight tag is not a big deal. But if you have more than that, then it becomes a big deal. So we're going to go here to 2017. Going to go to 2017. There we go. So you can see here what I've done. So now my Heavenly Grape Winery, it's grown. We've got a lot more growers, a lot more weight tags. And as you can see, I have referenced all of the weight tags on all of the bills, but I've also created a second accounts payable account. Come on. So if you have more than one accounts payable account, you will have this box will show up here at the top. If you only have one account, you're not going to see this box, but I've created an AP grape account. And what I do is I record all of my grapes on my AP grape, all my weight tags. Now, the second thing, oh, shoot, sorry, I forgot to show you this on 2016. All right. The second thing that I do, and this is, this tip will save you a lot of time. The second thing that I do is I create an item called grapes. So this is the grapes it's a non-inventory part. It can also be another charge. It doesn't matter. It's definitely not an inventory. Don't make it an inventory. So either a non-inventory or an other charge. And I'm going to report it here on my item tab. And again, I've got my description, and now I'm required to put in a quantity. I'm required to put in a cost, and then it'll do the math here. And the beauty of this, of doing it using an item, is I can get better reporting. So first of all, on this, on my transaction detail report, I can drop on my quantity column. Okay, and if that ever happens where it doesn't show up, you need to cancel. You need to go expand. There we go. And then come back to customize. And then I'm going to go quantity. And then I can also rate. I think it's current rate. No, it's sales. Sorry. There we go. All right. So now I get this awesome report that shows my weight tags, my growers. I can get rid of this stuff now because this is in my way. I've got my quantity. I've got, disregard that the label says sales price. This is the rate for the cost per ton. And then I have my amount. And if I was, what I would actually do is memorize, fix this a little bit more. I'm going to go amount, credit, debit, and go okay. And that was a mistake. All right. So this is a standard report that I'll memorize, and I'll call this my weight tag report. Weight tags. Okay. So this is my weight tag report, and I will run this report every week, and I'll send this off to the winemaker and say, hey, this is what I've recorded. Does this look right? Did I read your chicken scratchings on your weight tag correctly? Because again, those, their handwriting is atrocious. They make mistakes. They give grapes to their friends and they don't tell you. They forget to calculate the tear. Those weight tags are always changing. And that's why we want to record them here in QuickBooks, because we can, when we update it, everything gets updated at the same time, instead of just updating your Excel worksheet. And then you got to go and figure out where the mistake is. So I shoot this report off to the seller, every week. And, I can scan down here. I can sort by number. So that I can double check that I've received all the weight tags. I can also sort this by vendor name. I can sort this by vendor, and they can go, yeah, that's right. I got three lots of grapes in from Peter and Paul's vineyard. Now, the other beauty of using the item is you can run this report here. I'm going to go reports. I'm going to go purchases by item detail. Yep. And I'm going to go 2017. 010117, 123117. Now, as you know, because we use, these are all of our bottle run checks. So scooch that down. We're going to come down here to grapes. So here's all of our grapes. And I can limit this report here to items and just go grapes. And now this report only has grapes on it. And look at the
Jeanette, we have a follow-up question. I'm not sure if this can be addressed within the report side, but it's, what about shipping on grapes?
So technically, the cost of shipping the grapes is a cost of the grapes, okay. Because some growers, the shipping is included, and other growers will add it on. So as with any fixed asset, the cost of shipping is part of the cost of the grapes. Now, you might want to add that on as a separate amount. Okay, that does make things complicated for the grape thing here. So let me just finish this up, and which will actually get me to the second half of that answer. So when you have this purchases by grapes, you now have a nice grand total of your quantity right there in front of you, which is awesome. And then you can, actually don't need the balance column. So again, I would memorize this report. And this is the report I actually would send to the winemaker because it already has the total on it. It's all there. Now, if you have shipping on grapes, so let's go to these guys here. So if you have shipping on grapes, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to add the shipping here. So let's say you received an additional bill of $350. You're going to have to go the base amount and then go plus 350. And then QuickBooks will change this cost. And I would put a note here to say shipping.
And does it change if it's self-produced grapes?
So self-produced grapes is a different.
Okay,
Yeah,
right. That's another follow-up question.
Yeah,
this.
okay. And that's a really good question.
Okay.
Okay, so I would put a note to self here that shipping was included, but you're going to add it on to this amount. QuickBooks will back into this cost here, which is going to make your costs a little screwy, but ultimately that is what it cost you for those grapes. Don't put a second, don't do this. Shipping 2.31 350. Don't do this because now you've brought in four tons of grapes. So it's a little bit fussy when you use the items. You want to do this. All right. For self, for your own grapes, I would actually create, well, let's assume that you're buying some grapes and other grapes are your own estate grapes. I would create a second item called, so this is going to be Heavenly Grape. I'm buying these for myself. Oh, don't have me in here. That's odd. It's funny. I'm not my own vendor. And I would create a new item. And I would, we're doing non-inventory part. I would go grapes, estate. I'm still going to go, and I actually do have down on my chart of accounts, I have an estate grape direct. There's grapes. Oh yeah, I do separate on my chart of accounts my purchase grapes from my estate grapes because they get handled differently on the tax return. So I'm going to create a second item. And then for this one, I'm just going to go, I'm not going to do a cost. So I brought in 2.38 tons. I'm not going to put a cost, but I do have my, I have my quantity, and then I'm going to have my weight tag right there. So save and close. And so now if I do this if I run this report for this fiscal year, now I've got to fix my report to filter for grapes and estate grapes, multiple items. I'm going to go grapes. And I'm going to go grapes. Okay. All right. So there. So now on my report, I've got a subtotal for my estate grapes and I've got a subtotal for my purchase grapes. All right. Okay. Great. Did that work? Okay. Fabulous. That was a good question. All right. So where was I? All right. So now, we're back here, 2017. We've got, if you recall, I created a second accounts payable account called AP Grapes. I've got all these weight tags, and now a harvest has wound down. And now what I need to do is I need to merge these weight tags onto a single bill. So I'm going to lose some of you people in this step. If your life is not that complicated, then go have a coffee. But if you have, over at Kokomo, I'm handling, over 50 weight tags. I sure as heck want to come up with an easier way of doing this. So the concept is, let me show you what happens here. The concept is, here is my grape clearing account, and I'm going to come down to 2017. So, at some point, end of October, early November, the grapes, you're down to just, either all the grapes are in, or maybe you just have one or two that are dribbling in. You can start to close these out. I'm going to show you the concept, and I'm going to walk through a step. So first of all, I'm going to pay off. I'm going to pay, and I'm using air quotes, all of the weight tags for CH Vineyards, and I'm going to pay them as of November 1st. Then I'm going to create a bill credit for the assessments. And once I've done that, I will be able to see how much is owed. And then I'm going to create the two bills to pay them. And all of these are going to have the same date on them, so that they all are grouped together on my grape clearing, and I'm back down to zero. And once I finished this set of transactions for CH Vineyards, then I'm going to scooch down, and now I'm going to take care of Awesome Vineyards. And Awesome Vineyards is all my transactions are going to happen on November 2nd. And I'm paying the bill using the AP Grape account. But I'm going to create my second bill, my payment bills, on my regular accounts payable account. So let me show you how I actually go through this. And you can see each of these groups, everything has a different date to it. So where did I end up? So I ended up on November 8th. So I'm going to go to my vendors. I'm going to go pay bills. And on my pay bills, I'm going to flip this to my grapes. And I'm sorting this by vendor, and I'm looking for my 2017, and I still need to pay Awesome Vineyard, WWW Vineyards for 2017. So I'm going to select all my WW Vineyards. My next date is going to be November 9th. So I'm going to go 110917. And again, this is strictly internal, so don't freak out about whether or not that date is correct. My account is my grape clearing account. That's the bank account, again, with air quotes, that I'm going to use. I'm going to pay these selected bills. Don't worry about a thingy, Bob. Yeah, we know that. Okay, so now as you can see, my clearing account is off now, which is fine because we're in the middle of this. Now I'm going to create my my assessment bill. So I'm going to go vendors, enter bills. Okay, now my assessment bill. Scooch this over so we can see what we're doing here. This is why we love widescreen monitors. Scooching over. Ugh. All right. So first of all, this is going to be bill credit because I want to reduce the amount. The account is going to be still my AP Grape. My vendor is going to be, who am I working with? WWW. And whoops. Dub Vineyard. And remember, I'm doing Dub Vineyards on 11/9. So that's fine. This is my 2017 assessments. And because I've created an item called Assessment SoCo and Assessment Pierce, I can pop that in, and my quantity, remember the assessment is based on the total value. The total value of my grapes is 15,550. That number is popping up right there. And because I've defined this assessment as being, let me show you this assessment it looks like. Sorry about that. Assessment Pierce. So this is an other charge type of item. There's my name. I can give it any name you want. This is hitting my expenses payable, current liability, and then the amount that's going to be automatically charged is 0.0075. And then I'm going to put my assessment, my SoCo assessment. And again, I'm going to put in 15550. And then here's the tricky part. On this side, I'm going to type in grape clearing, and I'm going to go negative 194.38. I'm just reading off the total credit amount, which shows up here on the item tab. So this zeroes out my credit. I'm going to hit save. Yeah, we know. And then when I come back to my grape clearing, now here's my grape credit that's showing up. So now I know that I owe $15,355.62 to WWW Vineyards. So now I'm going to go save and new. I'm going to flip this to a regular bill. I'm going to flip this to my regular accounts payable. I'm going to go dub vineyards. And then I'm going to, again, I'm using 11.9 for this bill. I'm going to go 2017A, and they're going to allow me 2 payments. I'm going to pay them $8,000 to start, and I'm going to pay, this is going to be due 12/1. And guess what I'm going to use here? Grape clearing. 8123. And then I'm going to go save and new. And I'm going to do this again. Nope. And this is going to be 2017B. And I can see right here, the balance that I owe is now 7355.62. And again, and this bill is going to be 0301 2018. And again, my grape clearing, I'm going to hit save. And now I have correctly cleared that out. So the beauty of this is that when you're going to find some of these grape bills are going to change, you're going to do this in early November, and then sometime around December or even January, some of those weight tags are going to change, and it's going to throw off your grape clearing. That's going to be your clue where to go look to find the mistake. So that's the tricky part of trying to true up QuickBooks with an Excel file, is that you can't figure out where in the heck the mistake is. The mistake's going to be really obvious because it's going to show up in one of these groupings here. So again, this is an advanced step for those of you who have a lot of weight tags to deal with. Okay, so all right, so now the other let's see, what do I want to show you next? Yeah, when we go back to our accounts payable, if I go back to yeah, so let's just run an accounts payable and AP aging. So if I had run this AP aging, so we did all those bills on November 1st. If I had run this 103117, if I had run my accounts payable aging, all these bills here are actually my weight tag bills, which is actually totally fine. That's actually correct accounting. But the minute, and you can see CH Vineyards, these are my weight tag bills. But now after 11301, after I've flipped those bills, now my CH Vineyard bill, this is now my regular payment bills, because I can tell by the number that these are the bills that I'm actually going to pay. If you want to get fancy, you could totally do this. 103117. Let's go back to 2017. If you've created that separate accounts payable account, I can go AP grapes, and I can see just my grape portion of my bills here. All right, but the other step that you can do, which really helps along the way, again, if you've got a lot of bills, is you can a lot of growers and a lot of growers you need to handle, is you can create purchase orders. And this is the only situation where I use purchase orders. So let's go for 2017. I'm going to go reports. I'm going to go purchases. All right, so I'm going to go open purchase orders, but I'm going to have to modify this a little bit. Oh, wait, actually here, hang on. So I created purchase orders. They're already closed out for 2017, but I created purchase orders here for 2021. And the beauty of this is that now I can also QTY and what's my rate? The item, yeah, we can drop item on if we want. Item description, amount, account, where is my rate? Open balance. And what? Oh, cost price. There we go. All right. All right. Hang on. Why is this not cooperating? Received either. All right. Okay. Hang on. Hang on. This was working the other day. All right. Let's go here. Memorize reports. Crush. I didn't memorize it. All right. Hang with me because you have to do this report just right. And you can't do this report in desktop in online. So hang on. I got to get the right combination of. Oh, I know what it is. Let's go. Reports, purchases, open purchase order detail. There we go. So it's the open purchase order detail report. So this open purchase order detail report will show you the original amount that you planned for. I need to get the cost in there. Do ship to back order. Yeah, we want that. Come on, come on. Amount, sales price. There we go. So we've got the amount that we planned for, the amount that we have agreed to pay that grower for those grapes, and then we've got the grand total. So we'll sit down and we'll plan out our grape purchases, sometime in the summer, and we'll put these in, and we typically will have the conversation with the owners. I'll print this out. They'll take this off to their growers, and invariably the growers will come back and say, "Nah, this year I want $7,000 for that Pinot." So then we can come in to this guy and we're going to update this to 7,000. Oops, too many zeros there, and save and close. And now we've got that value in there. So now what will happen is, now when we go to create the bill, the agreed upon price is already set up. So let's say we've got another weight tag coming in. Let's say we've got some Chardonnay coming in. So Peter and Paul, and you get this message: open purchase orders exist. You go, yes, I'm going to pick this purchase order, and you can see, and then these grapes came in today, and this is going to be my 21.02 weight tag, and I only got Chardonnay, so I'm going to delete the Pinot, and I'm planning on bringing in 12, but I only got 2.25 today. There's my cost. It's already there. And I'm going to go save a new. And now look at your open purchase order detail report. There's the 12 that I plan to bring in. I've received 2.5. I'm still expecting 9.75. So I will run this report in the middle of harvest to give them an update of where we're at in terms of the number of tons that have come in versus the number of tons that we still expect to come in. Now, often what will happen is he'll say, okay, this 2.25, that's all we're going to get. We're not going to get our full 3. So then I'm going to go back to this weight tag, and I'm going to close this out because that's all I'm going to get. And now it's disappeared off of this report because we're no longer expecting it. So this report is telling us how many more grapes we're still expecting to come in. If we want to see everything that has come in, I'm going to flip this filter to either, and and I'm going to do this fiscal year. There we go. And now I've got just my 21. So here we've got Awesome Vineyards. Now, when you do the math, this report is really only good for showing the orders that have been closed out. This report's not perfect. but just work with it and you'll see how this report works. I personally only use this report to see what grapes, what weight tag or what purchase orders have been closed out already. So I would never actually look at it this way. I would look at it as received. I would only look at this report as no, the original way it was set up, because I want to see how much is left of the of the purchase orders that have not been reported yet. And oh my goodness, I've been talking and completely lost track of time. Sorry. Because what I wanted to do is I wanted to flip over to desktop, online and Mac, but we don't have time for that. Let me just say,
there were no Mac users that were listed. So I would say maybe desktop or online and do a quick recap. And yeah.
Okay. All right.
No other questions have come in at this time, but feel free. Oh, someone did mention they are Mac just now. So.
All right. So as far as in Mac and online, you can create, okay, here we are. Let's see if this is going to stick. Okay, perfect. Yeah, you can create purchase orders just fine. Just this, there's your item. You've got your item tab right here. The problem in online is the reporting. In online, the only report you have on purchase orders, and it's down here on open purchase order detail. So on open purchase order detail, this fiscal year, this year, one report. So I put these in here. So you can't filter this report. The only you can see that, that's all you can filter on. You can't filter on whether you've received them or not. So you just kind of have to go with what you got here. But otherwise, this functions the same. If I go new, let's go with a bill. Let's go awesome. Vineyards. Now you have to click here to add, and then you're going to, where's my date? I'm going to go today. I'm going to do my bill number. It's going to be 21.01. And then I received, oh, you know what? Because I've already received some of these grapes. So maybe I received 1.25. Save. Now, the flaw in both this year on report, the flaw in both of these reports, both desktop and online, is it doesn't say when you received more than you purchased. So I just received more than I had planned, and it doesn't tell me that report. So like I said, there's some limitations with this report, but the beauty is you can set this up in advance. It'll know the value that you've agreed, the cost per ton with the grower, so you don't have to keep looking that up. And it'll at least track how much you have left to come in, which is sometimes important for the growers, for owners to know how much money they have left to spend of their grape budget. That's a really valuable thing. Okay, so let me recap where we're at here. Sorry. Okay, we're gonna go there. Okay, so we're here. So so I showed you how to combine the weight tags for one grower. I showed you how to report how much is left. You can create a report for each grower by just filtering. Let's see, back here. If I'm here, if I am on my, let's go back to my P&L. Where's my P&L? Oh man, more windows, profit and loss. Okay. So if I'm here and I can see all my grapes, to do this, I just need to go total this by vendor. And now I can see the grand total that I've purchased from each vendor. So this is easy peasy. And then when it comes to doing your When it comes to doing your crush report, because you have everything listed and you have all of your tons listed, it's not showing on this report, but on your grape report, you're going to memorize this report here. Report, memorized, crush, my weight tags. Because you've memorized this report, which has all the fields that you want. You've got the quantity, you've got the sales price. Now you're totally ready to fill out your crush report. So where are we here? So back to this. So to recap, the absolute bare minimum that you want to show on your bills is you want to show the number of tons, the name of the type of varietal. You want to have a separate row for each one of these. So you want to show the entire bill the year of the harvest. And if you have a second payment to the grower, either pay the bill partially or create a second bill using that grape clearing account to create the second bill. Make sure you understand the assessment arrangement with your growers, whether or not you're allowed to deduct it from their bill. And if you want to save some time, especially for those of you who have a lot of weight tags, use the purchase orders and use that tip on how to combine the weight tags onto one bill. So those are your tips for recording grapes. Any more questions?
No, I haven't seen any other questions. Okay. The only thing I would mention is that we will have this recording of the webinar up on our website and on our YouTube channel no later than Monday. I'll be sure to get that up as soon as possible, but look for it probably Monday. If you want me to email you the links directly, you can always email us at info@qbwinerysolutions.com.
Right. And if you want to learn more about our system and our processes, like I said, this great process is really just, tips on how to use QuickBooks. It's just going to save you time. The real focus of the work that we do is to help you make more profit. And saving time is good. So if you need help with your winery financials, we have other courses available to help you. Our Fundamental 5 is our basic course to show you how to set up QuickBooks. We have an additional course on how to do the whole costing process. And if you need help with the day-to-day, that's where our Silver Club membership is, to help you with the day-to-day, how to actually use the program, how to do some of these more the trickier transactions that we come across in the wine industry.
Yeah, Jeanette, we do have someone. Dan is raising his hand. Let me just see if I can.
Hey there. I was just wondering if I could squeeze in
Sure.
My own kind of a question and / recap. As I'm kind of understanding, it seems like throughout the year we can kind of be using QuickBooks to, for our harvest plan all the way until fruit starts, coming off the vine and actual weight tags are created. So like, if I wanted to run through this hypothetical, it seems like, throughout the year, in the beginning of the year, we kind of are creating a harvest plan, signing contracts with growers. So we could be opening purchase orders then.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So sort of getting that plan into our books. And then as fruit comes in, we're actually creating bills that represent those weight tags, which include assessments. And then we actually, even before they're actually due, we're scheduling payments for those bills.
Correct.
Zeroing those out. Then we make adjustments as any like weight tags change or things like that come to light. And then I'm just wondering, so how do the POs then? The POs then are closed after that.
Yeah. So as I run the report to show, what's left, based on the POs, the owner, the winemaker will say, okay, we received all the grapes from Awesome and from Peter and Paul, so you can close those out. So I'll close those out as they tell me, we're not going to get any more of those grapes. We're done. So I'll manually close those out as the season rolls along.
Okay, so those POs just get manually closed.
Yeah. You do want to go in and manually close them out.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
That's no.
Yeah, because we found, I developed this system in 2016. And if you recall, that harvest was ginormous. And so I was, giving him an update regularly on how much he had spent and how much he had left of his budget to spend. But, Eric ended up buying like a lot more grapes than we had planned because he couldn't refuse. They're so beautiful. I can't refuse them. Well, it's not in your budget. It's like, well, we'll deal with that later.
So all of these are, I was wondering, the account type for grape clearing. What is, is it a expense account? Is it?
No, the grape type for the clearing is a bank account.
Bank, it's just
right.
Okay.
Correct. And the reason it's a bank account is so that when we pay the weight tag bills, we need a bank to be able to pay them too. So it's just a lot more efficient to make that clearing account a bank account. So that's here, chart of accounts. So there's my grape clearing. It's a bank account type.
Got it.
And since it's always a zero balance, it doesn't matter, where it shows up on the chart of accounts.
That makes sense. And the other thing was that we were talking about actually saving the weight tags, and I end up with a lot of paperwork, but then I scan them in and get digital copies. Would you actually be able, or do you think it's worth it to actually attach?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a source document. Yeah, you can totally do that. It's right here, attach file. That's awesome.
Great. Okay.
You could even, you can even on the vendors. So let's go to Awesome. On Awesome, you can, whoops, cancel. I've got Awesome here. I can also attach right there. I can attach contracts here. So you've got one place to go. To, if you need to double check, what is my contract with them?
Great. Thank you.
Yep. Good questions. All right. Anyone else? Well, we've got a lot of you hanging out here. Thank you for sticking out with me here. Happy to stay longer if you folks have time and have questions. I know I've got someone who's using a Mac. Joanne, are you still with us? Joanne, do you want me to pop onto the Mac and show you basically the Mac again, similar to QuickBooks Online? You can create purchase orders and transfer the purchase to the bill. It's the reporting is the weak link. The Mac purchase order reports are even worse than the online. In fact, it doesn't even show quantity. So.
Yes, Joanne is still on, and so she is available.
Do you want me to show you? All right, so
Yeah.
let me, what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to stop our share here. We're going to have Mr. Matt come up. And
while you're getting that set up, we do have a question from Jeffrey. What if you're buying bulk juice? How would that be handled?
So bulk juice just gets recorded. I'm going to have to, I can do it here. All right. So okay. So I think you're seeing coming down to QuickBooks. All right, here we are. So here we are in, this is the Mac version of what we're doing. And I'm going to go to reports. I'm going to go open purchase orders. And I hate this. Sorry. Open purchase orders. There we go. All right. And so what you can see here is, I got to get this out of the way here. So my Zoom controls are in the way. All right. What you can see here is, sorry, get that out of the way. I don't have any, there's nothing interesting that shows up here. I can't add quantity or rate onto my open purchase orders. Let me go back to reports. You can see on my purchases, all I have is open purchase orders. I don't have that open purchase order detail report. So the purchase order report in Mac is useless. The only value of this is that you can at least record your, the value of the cost per ton so that when you, oh, that's purchase order. That's not what I want to do. I need to go back home. I need to enter a bill. Enter a bill. I'm going to go awesome. And there's Awesome Vineyards. Oh, good. At least it does give a pop-up of my PO. I'm going to go yes. I'm going to check this. I'm going to go okay. And now, and I only received 2.5. So at least it's pulling this up. So I've got the cost per ton already memorized, which is super helpful. But the reporting is useless, which is kind of the problem that we have with Mac, that we've always had with Mac, is that it's way behind in development. PC and even now QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online has way surpassed Mac. So, all right. So let me end my save. I'm going to stop my share and go back to the bulk question. Sky, Mr. Mac on the side, and come back to share. Oops. Where is my share button? Sharing my screen. 3. All right. So to record bulk wine, that's let's go vendor, enter bills, and let's just say from Awesome, we're going to buy some bulk, and that, and actually this, sorry, I want this on my accounts payable, and so that's going to be here under. So in my direct winemaking group of expenses, this is where you want to put the account for bulk wine. And so, whatever you've got here. So this is going to be 30 gallons of Zinfandel at 100 per gallon. Oh, that's some good Zinfandel. Something like that. Or is that right? I don't know. Whatever the math is. 30 times 100. 30 times 100. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah. So that's how you would record bulk wine. That's a pretty straightforward transaction that you can record. Okay. Stephanie, how are we doing? Oh, we still have people hanging out.
I know.
Okay, some real QuickBooks nerds here. All right. What else?
We have another question that came in. How do you transfer bulk to inventory? My client keeps it on the balance sheet.
Well, that's part of the costing process, which we cover in the costing book, in the costing course. But just as a summary, let me pull up my P&L, and I'm going to pull this up for 2018. 010118. 2318. All right, so here's our P&L. So if you had bulk wine, it would show up here in the direct winemaking section. But all of these costs here in the other expense area, all of these transfer over to bulk wine. So this is how we record the bulk wine straight onto the P&L first, because we find the reporting is easier if you put it on the P&L, and then it gets transferred over to bulk wine. But once it's over there, company financial, balance sheet standard, 123118. Once it's over here on the balance sheet, all this activity here in the bulk wine, this is all tracked in an Excel workbook that we call the costing book. And so these numbers move over to our Excel worksheet to do the actual allocation and the movement, so that our costing workbook, it always matches the balance sheet. The beginning cost on our costing workbook is 316,941. I can show, this was some bulk wine that was sold. These are all of our seller costs, and based upon those cost pools, those get applied onto our costing book. And then this is the value of the wine that was transferred into our transferred from bulk wine. So that and this ending bulk wine for 21,000, this matches our our ending costing book. So the detail of the bulk wine happens in the costing book. The case wine, the case goods, this detail stays in QuickBooks. You can see this on your inventory report. Okay, so again, that's a costing question, which is a whole much longer conversation. But what, you know, because these grapes are so fundamental to the costing, and it's one of the big stumbling points that I run across when I work and do the costing, is I don't have the fundamental information of, you know, what were the grapes that went into this bulk lot. It takes a lot of extra digging to find it. But if they're recorded, you know, the way I showed you here, all that information is right at my fingertips, and I or whoever is doing your costing can then get, you know, much better numbers for you because the information is there. Okay. Any other questions?
Not that I see.
All right. Okay. Well, I appreciate you folks joining us. Thank you. You know, give us a holler. Let's see. Let me go. Give us a holler at info@qbwinerysolutions.com if you have any questions, and Stephanie will take care of you.
Yeah, definitely.
So stay tuned for stay tuned. We've got, you know, it's harvest season, so lots of fun things going on, and we'll have, you know, more of these types of webinars coming up. Hope to see you then. Cheers.